They got their game. Anyway, welcome to our Total Partners Fall Luncheon Meeting. Before we start, you may have noticed that we just handed out some stress balls. I was talking to my wife here the night before last. Actually, it was late last week. And she said, "Do you give handouts at your meetings?" And I said, "Well, we normally give pins, handouts." And I said, "You know, you may be right. We may want to up our game a little bit because we've given pins out now for almost 20 years. People come to the office, offer them a pin, and they go, no mas. We got plenty of pins. No more pins." But anyway, we do have pins on the table for you guys that want to take notes today. But she said, "You know what would really be good for your partners?" Because she said, "Are people stressed out now about the investment market?" And I said, "Well, people are concerned about the price of oil, you know." She said, "Well, maybe give them a stress ball." So thanks to Julie Powell-Thomas, Dr. Julie Powell-Thomas, recognized preeminent psychologist in Tulsa, for the stress balls. And she wrote up a little thing for me to explain that these stress relief balls are not just for kids. They can improve focus, which is what we want for our meeting. They can relieve anxiety, which the minute we gave these out, I saw everybody doing the deal. They also promote a sense of well-being, and there's a neurological and physical benefit for joint pain, arthritis, and so forth. So there's a lot of great things about stress balls. So how to maximize the use of your stress balls? Here it is. The squish, the press, the twist, the grip, the grasp. I didn't even try them all. The pull. When I handed these out, I noticed Steve did every one of them before he even saw the slide. So anyway, feel free to take these home, and if you need an extra stress ball to take home to your partner, we've got it up here. Okay.
They come better in pairs.
We did well. We got it. That's a good one, Hap. We've got a lot of comedians here today. Okay, we're going to talk about 3 different ventures today. So we have more on the program than what some people may have expected. From Royalty Energy Development, we call them Big Red. We've got Craig Van Horn, CEO, here today. Caleb Van Horn, the CFO. We have Kyle Stone, got his name right this time, CPA.
Thank you.
And we got Dad, okay, who's a comedian and senior landman. Okay. And we're going to discuss the production partners. We've got an interesting program here that will highlight the progress that we've made in that venture, which has been substantial. We have today with us from our Adams Creek developer, Matt Martis is here. He brought his assistant, Nika Munoz, and we're going to have a brief video presentation of the construction progress on Adams Creek for the people that are in our Adams Creek venture. We also have Clint Privet here, our landman. He's going to give a demonstration on our software program that we use to identify and qualify prospects for our total horizontal partners program this year. Let me let's get our balls off the screen. Okay, excuse me. All right. Also want to mention, last person to arrive today, we appreciate him being here, is our tax advisor and attorney, Clayton Woodard, CPA. Glad you met him, Clay. Also, last but not least, we have, this is the one that gets all the applause, Teresa Molina, our accounting manager, who sends everybody their distributions. So. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to let Matt hop up here, and we're going to put a video up of Adams Creek. And Matt, I'm going to let you just operate it with, you just click on it and stop it where you need to, and give us a little update.
Sure, thanks, Scott. Happy to be here, kind of unscheduled, so really came to hear what these guys had to say. But project's going well, despite record rain when we launched the site work job. So I'll play this short video that Nika prepared. She's our director of marketing. She does a great job for us. when you do a project of this scale, you've got to have good material to be able to attract the tenants and the brokers, and so we kind of update the video as we go along. So this is our, call it refresh for 2025, and you'll see it's turned from a kind of a raw piece of land, and we're starting to come out of the ground. And this is kind of fast. It's more made for social media. I think there was sound, but
We don't have
I
sound
got you.
hooked up here, so we'll just have to go without
no
sound.
worries. See if I can get a good photo. Whoop. Almost. Okay.
There you go. Oh, here, by the way, we also have, talking about upping the game. We have
Oh, you got a laser
now. We
now.
got a laser now.
Thanks.
You bet.
I gotta mess this up.
There's a punch button right there. There you
Okay. So this was the entire 25-acre site of Adams Creek. We started, I guess the groundbreaking would have been in July, right? So we kind of got started in June, and they're really maintaining a pretty aggressive schedule. So the goal is to grand open the center Q3 of next year, and delivering to each tenant sometime in the fall. But this is Burlington Coat and Five Below. This will be Home Goods box here, and we've got a restaurant kind of courtyard there, and then as you go down the line, this is Bell's. This is Kids Empire, Books A Million there, and we've made some progress on the leasing. And this is our, if you have the site plan, you can see this is more of our shop, small shop portion of the center, which is presently going to be 100% leased. So we're currently at 90% pre-leased, which is a great place to be when you haven't delivered any of the vertical improvements yet. We are on schedule, and I think we shared a construction update. You disseminated that to all
We
the
did.
partners, right?
We
So we've got a few exciting tenants. We've signed these are small, but when you try to curate the rent roll for, you want the customer to stay there a little longer, is what we say in our world. We signed a lease with Sparkle Grooming, which is a new to market dog grooming by appointment only kind of upper end for this space. And then we're working on a restaurant here that we're very close to signing, kind of a new to market breakfast concept. And then also, if anyone's familiar with Hollywood Feed, it's a high-end pet store that they have 500 or 600 locations. They have one at maybe 2 in the market, one next to Whole Foods at 91st and Yale, but those are smaller tenants. They're 4,500 feet. Sparkle Grooming 1,600 square feet, but they promote monthly visits to the center, right? A lot, the pet spend is very high in the retail category, and so when you can bring those folks that may take their dog by appointment only to be groomed and go to Hollywood Feed, and then they spend time at Home Goods, and then, well, let's go get a drink or have dinner at one of the restaurants. So we're starting to get into the finer points of curating the rent roll. We've signed an agreement on one of the out parcels with Jiffy Lube. So they're going to do a freestanding. They're one of my longtime clients. I've represented them for 20 years, and great operator. They have 30 locations. They were franchisee of the year 2 years ago for the nation. Then we've got several other tenants. A restaurant we're working on here, kind of in various stages of negotiation. So project's going well, on schedule. I just thought I was going to be here, so I'd give a quick update. Any questions that any of our partners have, be happy to answer.
You've been getting.
Wait for the corner right out there. Right there.
That's the most expensive piece, Richard. So we've had several banks, credit unions approach us we are not in a hurry. We had a deal with Panera Bread that kind of fizzled. We have started, so all these foundations are in. This is kind of a long-winded answer, but we are now pouring the tilt-up concrete panels. So in the next 30 days, if you go out and see the site, you'll actually start to see the center get lifted up. And it wouldn't surprise me if the corner is the last piece that we transact on, because we are not currently planning on selling any of the out parcels. They're all ground lease or built to suit.
You gonna sell the corner?
No, I mean it would be a price that would be a record-setting price for the market. So the plan is to lease or build to suit. We've got a plan here for a three or four tenant building that we're in design. We have 2 tenants that would like to be there. So the goal is every lot is to maximize the coverage on the lot. And so when we did the financial projections, we kind of made an assumption for the minimum coverage, which means the minimum amount of real estate on the lot. And as an example, the Jiffy Lube, I think, not to get into the financial metrics here because it's not done yet, but we will have close to double the income on that particular lot if we're able to do what we want to do on this lot. So, great question. Anything else?
You've had several of those situations develop where you're getting substantially higher rents than what were originally projected.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
that's an important point.
And then this is Trader Joe's. If you guys make it out, I think they're going to open. They're not part of our project, but it's certainly exciting for the corridor. So they are. I think they're targeted to open before Thanksgiving. And then this piece, there's another user that is under contract on this 7 acres here. And so this entire, it's a little over a mile. This hillside drive that comes down, that's all good news because it removes capacity from the market for us, and we're going to still have land to develop as we get going. So thanks for the opportunity. Glad to see everybody today. Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, let's finish up here. We'll let it run one more time at the end. Okay. All right. Okay, Craig, if you would like to join us here, I'm going to turn over the pointer to Craig, and we're going to bring up, as you guys know, Craig's CEO for Royalty Energy Development.
Okay.
And he put together this slide presentation for us. And Craig, you can just flip through this. Here's the buttons. You know how to do it. And you've got your pointer.
Got a pointer.
All right.
Thanks again for having us. Glad you guys could make it. Wanted to give you an update on the Ames operated assets, and then also kind of a plan of what we have in the, what I would say, immediate future. So just a brief update of what we've done since we took it over. So all of our numbers that we base this off of were from Continental of their 2023 financials, and then 5 years prior to that. So in 2023, they averaged 147.29 gross barrels per day. When we asked them for data the entire time during the due diligence process. When we got our first dump of data after we had already signed the PSA, it was making 79. The first week that we took it over was making 61. So we had some work to do straight out of the gate. That's not atypical with these kind of deals, especially with larger operators with assets that are more mature than they're used to operating. So when we took it over, 61 barrels per day. Since we've taken it over, we've averaged 119 barrels per day. And then most recently, we're up to 138, and that does include some downtime due to weather. A positive thing from the last last time we met is that we've closed our final portion of the leasehold acquisition with Axia Energy from out of Denver. This just highlights what we've paid out to Total Production Partners on this deal, all 3 rounds, and then the total. And then some highlights that you guys may not be aware of with these kind of deals is there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into not just the negotiations, but also making sure that we get maximum value for every acre that's out there. So what we were able to do is pass $0 of cost onto you guys. We sold 0 barrels of oil in this deal. We kept all of our production. And then we were able to maintain an override in their new wells, which they have yet to drill. So you'll start to see as they, hopefully prices get a little bit better and they go and explore this area, we're going to get the benefit of having a piece of their wells as they go out and explore. And then additionally, there hasn't been a lot of active drilling in this area for a number of years, and so your leasehold values suffer because of that. So we were able to maintain quite a bit of acreage outside of what we sold, and those values only go up with good well results in the immediate area. So there's the potential for this to happen again if they have success, which we have. Every indication says they're gonna hit some good wells.
We only sold one zone.
And we only sold the Mississippi. So if there's other wells that are in a different zone, then we obviously have value there too. So these wells have been shut in for the lifetime of us owning them. So when we inherited it from Continental, these were shut in for various reasons. We have yet to bring them back online. However, the production from these wells were included in our forecast because we used a 5-year model. So there's about 9.5 barrels per day that's included in the forecast, the financial forecast when we bought this, that we have yet to experience. So if you go back to the first slide and you think about we're averaging 138 right now, and some days, Scott can tell you, some days it's 160 and some days it's 100. And so the average ends up being 138. But we're right on target with what we forecasted without these. So these would be additional on top of that. And as prices get better, we're stacking better months. We're going to have additional capital to go out and do capital expenditures. But given the environment and the number of breaks, which we've talked about ad nauseum, that's not really a reality to this point, but there is still more to go get. And the big one is this Marjorie. So this was not included in the forecast. We forecasted at 0 because it was not equipped. But historically, it's made 15 barrels of oil per day, and that's on rod lift. It was a submersible when they last ran it. It made more than that, but obviously a lot more water. And so we're going to talk about in our next steps, what we have a plan for the Marjorie, and it could be an immediate boost to the package as a whole. One of the big things that we've talked about a lot is that when we bought this package, there's a third-party disposal that's lined into our lines for disposal, and we saw that as an added benefit. And they had major mechanical issues that ended up being an Achilles heel for us. That we figured out what we thought was going to be something that we could rely on as excess ended up being something that we lost production for a long period of time outside of our control. So it's now back online, and we've regained that production. It's about 20 barrels per day. So we had to overcome 20 barrels per day of our production not going. Plus, we didn't have the capability of sending them additional water to do maintenance, or if we like the Chet, if we had to, which is our disposal, if we had to do an acid job or the pump went down, then we had to figure out ways to maneuver that rather than just sending it down the line to a third-party disposal. So we have been actively looking for, within our own package, disposal options. And there's plenty to look at. There's a lot to say. This one will be good for various reasons, and we've kind of narrowed it down. The Axia deal actually threw a wrench in that because we had some identified and started to work towards that, but then those lands became encompassed in the deal. And so rather than, if you convert to a disposal, you eliminate the leasehold. The leasehold doesn't exist at that point.
If there's not.
If there's not other production. And in the cases that we were looking at, that was the case. So we opted to sell the leasehold, maintain that well as an active producer, as opposed to converting it to disposal. Now that that's closed up, we can look a little bit more diligently at certain assets that are held by other wells, but make sense for us to convert to disposal. Additionally, during this, the third-party disposal being down, we were able to negotiate with that operator. We had a little bit of leverage based on a unique circumstance with the OCC that they needed our help with. So we were able to negotiate 5 cents off in perpetuity off of per barrel of disposal into that third-party disposal. And then we gained about 1,000 barrels per day in an additional disposal based on that deal as well. I've already talked about us wanting to convert. One thing that's pretty big about this third-party disposal is right now we spend about $9,000 gross per month on disposal fees to that third-party disposal. And so as we look into converting one of our producers to a disposal, we automatically have $9,000 a month of our money that's going to this third party that would be then coming back to us. So it makes it a little bit more palatable to look at from an expense side just because we already have that revenue that we know is going out. So this is a map of the entire field. There's a few assets that are a little bit further out that I didn't want to get it too widespread. So you have the Donna and the Fred are south. This sits right in between. Ames is probably somewhere down there, and then Ringwood is probably somewhere up there. So we're right in between. This represents 90+% of the production in the package.
This is actually in the heart of the Astroblink.
We're in the middle of it right here.
What was a crater that nobody can see?
Correct. So this is our disposal now, and is what I would consider is the lifeblood of these assets. They make a lot of water. Luckily, we have a disposal that's lined in. All the red lines are the lines that make up the system. So the Marjorie sits right here,
That's the one you want
and
to
it's
turn back on.
inactive. And the one that we're looking at to convert to disposal is the Merida right here. And we actually brought this well. It was one that was shut in when we bought it. We brought it back on to see if it would produce. It's pretty marginal, and it is lined in and is right in the area. It's also held by the Bob, the leasehold is, so it makes sense that if we were to convert that, we wouldn't lose any leasehold, and additionally, it's lined in. It has the equipment on it that would make sense, and then, so if we zoom in a little bit here, so that just...
Go back and show them where the water goes now. Just go back at the third party when it's hot.
Oh, yeah. So that's the third-party disposal is right there. So right now, if we send water that direction, it comes to this Dorothy valve site. This used to be an Arbuckle disposal that Continental had. They'd plugged it several years ago. So now it's just a field with valves in it. So we send water from the Nelly, the Pacific, and the Bob historically up this line, and then it makes its way to theirs. We own this to there, and then they own the one to there. So what we're planning to do is we can there's probably 7 valves there that allow us to send water down each of these different lines, different directions. So what our plan to do is to eliminate this unless we need it, which is the third-party disposal line, and to send half of our water to the Chet, and then half of our water to the new disposal there.
With an immediate return, because
Yep.
we're spending that money now.
This is just a zoom in of that wider map, so we're going to zoom in right here. So if you can see, the Merida is equipped with a pumping unit, a 640 pumping unit. It also has tubing and a rod string in it currently because it's capable of producing. So our plan would be to pick up this unit, move it to here, pick up the rod string and the tubing and move it and drop it straight into this hole. this historically, like I said earlier, was a submersible pump that Continental had. And so the cost associated with bringing this back online as a sub is a lot more, especially if you already have the equipment. And since we would not be utilizing this as a producer anymore, repurposing that over here is going to be significantly more economical to get to producing immediately. And we could likely move this and produce even while we're dealing with the OCC on making this conversion. It doesn't make enough water to merit additional capacity, or we could send the water to the third-party disposal during that time frame. This just gives, I just wanted to zoom back out so you guys could see it again here.
That was one of the locations, the Marjorie, that we went. We had 2 field trips out there. Cap, I know you went at least on one of them, maybe both. But beautiful equipment, big tank battery, 3-phase power,
Yep.
Everything it needs. And they had pulled the submersible on it, and we were thinking to make it work, or at least I was, we would need to spend $150,000 on
Right.
submersible and all that. But reality is, we can produce it with equipment we already have. Maybe not make as much production, but on bang for the buck, that's the way to go.
Yeah, for sure in this environment as well. But and the reason why they did not keep this in operation is because I don't know this for sure, but there's been a lot of controversy behind Arbuckle disposals, which the Dorothy was one, and they opted to plug it. So they lost their capacity to dispose. And the Chet is not capable of handling another sub on it alone, and so they would have had to send the water to that third-party disposal. I just don't think it makes sense. So currently there's nothing in that hole, which actually helps us because there's no expense of us having to pull everything out of there. We could just drop, after we get out of the Marita, we could just drop everything into the Marjorie.
I think you told me that we could, you believe we could get close to 15 barrels a day additional with the rod string and the conventional pump.
That's based on historical data. When it was on pumping unit, it would make about 15 barrels a day.
That'd be significant.
A few hundred barrels of water. So, pretty good cut. This just kind of is a breakdown of what it would take to do this job. And moving the pumping unit, rod string, you obviously have to have a workover rig that pulls it, and then moving it over to that new location. The conversion of the Marita is a little bit more than just moving it and dropping it in. You have to repurpose the existing equipment that's out there to be a disposal as opposed to a producer. It's not anything that's too consuming as far as cost. There's several line items that don't exist there now. And then obviously you have to get approval with the OCC. But the main things about this is we're spending this money right now to get 20 barrels per day, which makes sense economically, but you instantly get that money back. Plus, additionally, we would be able to charge the outside working interest owners, much like the Chet. So every barrel that comes to the Chet right now, we charge ourselves, but it's kind of washing money because we end up getting that money back. And then we charge outside working interest owners, which actually is accretive for us. And while it's small, it's still, it's probably a few $1,000s a month that we would be gaining on top of this $9,000. That's an expense. So $9,000 expense becomes revenue, and then additionally probably another $1,000 or $2,000 per month on top of that. This is a big one here, is that one of the biggest pitfalls that we have is when that third-party disposal went down, we could not service our own disposal without sacrificing production. It's a big problem. So this would allow us to have more flexibility to say, okay, we need to work on this triplex pump on the surface, or we have a tubing leak, or it requires an acid job to bring the pressure down. All of that's super important. All of that can't be done currently. And so while the third-party disposal's down, with it up, we can do it. But I don't want to have to rely it took them 10 months to get that fixed, which should have been much sooner. And the OCC was the biggest problem. So if we get our own disposal, we eliminate that Achilles heel on us, and then that third-party disposal then becomes more of the benefit that we thought it was going to be, which is a luxury as opposed to a lifeblood. And then obviously we talked about restoring additional production on top of that. So, summary, we got the lease sale closed. We were very happy with the return. I hope you guys were too. We got the per barrel in perpetuity cost reduced with D&J, and we're looking for additional capacity. We gained a little bit. We need more. And then our next steps are going to be as prices return and we have more capital in the bank, that we're going to start restoring some of these other producers that we've yet to see the benefit of. What questions do we have? That was a lot.
Yeah, a lot of good information.
Yes, sir.
What's your definition of prices return?
Higher than they are right now, but we still make money at where it's at. It's not where we forecasted. We forecasted this at $70 oil, $3 gas, and this is not a gas play; it's an oil play. So really, $70 oil, everything makes sense, and the numbers look like it's supposed to. The problem, as you guys know, you guys have been in this a long time, is that the expenses don't change, but when your revenue changes based off the price of oil, it looks, you can gain it a lot faster back if the pricing increases. It looks way worse, even though your expenses are relatively the same, when the pricing is down because the revenue gets affected so heavily. So $70 oil is great with me. If it goes higher, then we'll all be singing praises.
I think you guys have done a great job, and in fact, our return to our partners on a cash basis is in fact higher than what the original projections were.
Right.
Primarily because of the leasehold sale, but we're right at a 35% cash return in the 13 months since we made our first cash distribution, which is significantly more than what the original projections were, but it includes the leasehold proceeds.
I think this page too, just to echo that a little bit, is that we started here, and a lot of that we regained very quickly to get to a point, because this doesn't work. This is no return. That's bills. And so getting to a place now where we're here is, even at this market, it's economical. It just doesn't look the same as our forecast. So our goal, is to get you guys back the return in the time frame that we promised. Now, we did have a leasehold sale, which helped immensely during this period, but we're now in a much better position going forward over the next 3 years, which was the time frame that we had targeted to, fulfill what we had put out there in the beginning.
And based on the age of the wells, it should be pretty steady. We shouldn't see a
There's
collapse.
no flush production,
Yeah.
for sure.
So we're over double where you were when you started.
Correct.
Which is exceptional to get to that point from where we were.
Are there any other producers we can sell disposal services to, or is it just going to serve ours?
So you'd have to have a commercial disposal. There's a lot of more red tape, which is part of the reason why it took so long for that third-party disposal to become back online. The commission has taken a very hard stance against disposals, especially commercial, over the last 15 years.
Because of earthquakes.
Yeah. And so, probably not. It's not outside the question, but initially we're going to get it as quickly through the commission as just a disposal for ours. Now, we will get the outside dollars from our own wells of working interest owners that are in these wells that aren't a part of our group, right? So, yes and no is the answer. We may go commercial if it makes sense later down the road, but initially that's not going to be our goal.
Tell them about when we met with the commission and Arbuckle and the way they measure.
Yeah. So we met with the commission early on of us owning this asset to see if we could convert the Chet back to an Arbuckle disposal, because we were pulling from the Arbuckle. Most people don't produce from the Arbuckle. And so it's really it's not a disposal at that point. It would be an injector. Different. If you get to the technicalities of the commission, it's a lot easier to get that done. They basically told us we could, but we would be under the microscope of any seismic activity. Would have to shut down our entire field, including producers. And what they said was about 25 years ago there was 4 seismometers in the state of Oklahoma, and since the seismic activity has increased, I don't even know the number. It was thousands, and they said that a 18-wheeler driving down the street will register a 2.5 earthquake.
It gives seismic activity.
It gives seismic activity that's just outrageous now because there's so much of it being read. And so if you have any seismic activity, it would end up shutting down our whole field until they did an investigation. So,
Especially if it's the Arbuckle. If you dispose somewhere else, they don't really care. But when it's Arbuckle disposal, they get really nervous, overly nervous in a strange way. And so you just say, okay, we're not going to touch the Arbuckle. We'll come up to the Wilcox or something else. Right?
And the technology that we placed, I think originally that was going to track when the predictive technology, those get put on all the wells. I forget the name of the company.
Oh, amplified.
Oh, yes. So that's all installed. And we've seen, if you go look historically at the LOEs from Continental, the failure rate has gone down dramatically. I don't have an exact number, but you can see it on our workover LOEs that we're just not having as much failure. And it's all due to not overrunning these wells when they don't need to be overrun.
Initially, the big expense was we had to put the new submersibles in.
Yeah.
That really was just a shocker of just happened. Yeah.
Well, we had a combination of expenses on the submersibles in addition to the down disposal.
Right.
So that combination was unforeseen, and it was depressed our returns dramatically.
Well,
beyond our control.
And now we're trying to get control of it, at least a portion of that. We can't control if a well fails. If they're going to fail. We can't control when that happens, but we can control if we have some additional capacity for disposal and not have to rely on someone else. That was really the first two, the subs I can deal with because that happens, but the other it was a very tough thing to have to call the operator every week and him tell me it was going to be the next week, and then you look 6 months down the road and we have it every week. It was supposed to be the next week.
With another disposal well that we own, plus the excess capacity
Correct.
for the third party, we shouldn't have a repeat of what happened to us this year.
We would never have a repeat at that point.
So
Yeah, it gives you that third option. You can just send it.
It's
and
a
they- and
luxury.
it's really nice though that it's all lined in already. If we use the Merida, because we're not going to have any pipeline expense.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of turning the valves in the correct direction. And
yeah, exciting.
Any other questions?
Do we have a prediction for this month on our revenues? Yeah.
Do we have those done yet? Not yet.
Should be
Okay.
done today.
Okay.
You're getting a check. I know that.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can predict that.
All right.
thank
Thank you. Okay, before we start on our, I want to make a couple of mentions. Does anybody read the research reports that we put out?
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, the guys in the business. Do any of the partners read it? Okay. There's been a narrative, as you know, for a long time that we don't need oil, and that oil is not going to be in demand, and that there is excess supply, and there's a lot of predictions by the EIA, which is international organization, which I think a lot of that is misplaced. And I sent out a couple of things just in the last few days. This was one that I highlighted. Talks about the excess capacity for Saudi Arabia, which they've never disclosed, and nobody really knows what it is.
but there's a lot of people thinking that they may be close to maximum capacity as we speak. And if that's the case, then what can happen in the future, we get another supply shortage if we don't have excess capacity within OPEC to cover it, and we could see, the last myth to fall before we get a sizable and sustained oil price rally. Oil prices have been so low for so long that pendulum, and I've been in the business long enough and I've studied the market since I was in my 20s, a long time ago. It always swings back the other way, and it's just a matter of time. The longer prices stay lower, the more the pendulum will swing in the opposite direction. So, looking at oil investments now, we're all lamenting the low prices, but there could be a time in the very near future, and this is one of those articles that related to that, and it kind of coincided with another one that I sent out. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Here we go. I like these guys, Goring and Rosenwald. I've been following their research and sending it out, and this is an excellent article. It has 6 myths, like why oil could decline from relic to renaissance, why oil's repricing could decline the next decade. The price of oil now is commenting to some of our partners here, talking about, you guys may have noticed we have a new menu. We've been doing it here at Polo, as you know, for a number of years. We had our kind of own menu set up, which Roxana helped us with here a few years ago. And they said, well, we can't do that anymore. We've repriced our menu, and now this is what, these are the choices you have. So we selected the choice, and from where we were 10 years ago, prices on per head on the menu have gone up 2.5 times. Now there's a room charge, and there wasn't. There's an AV charge, but they do have new equipment. But it's gone up about 300% from where we were, and oil prices from where we were has gone down about 75. The real oil price has gone down about 75%. So it's been maybe I should call it the Howard Warren Index. How many people here ordered the Howard Warren today? Let's see hands. Okay, that's a majority. Was it 2019, Teresa? Was the last time we had the Howard Warren on the menu? Everybody ordered it, and it backed up the kitchen. We didn't get served food till 1 o'clock. That's the reason we took it off the menu, but now it's back. So I see everybody enjoying the Howard Warren today. All right. Anyway, for those of you that haven't read this article in particular, I would encourage you to do so. Eventually, I think we'll see, and it could be sooner than later, prices advance. I've had a number of our partners even say, people sitting in the room, they know who they are. I'm not going to invest in any more oil because it's going down. Why would I want to invest in oil? Well, we'll see. Time will tell. Anyway. Okay. Clint, let's see if I have anything else today. That was our 15-minute chart on oil today. We're trading right now at a little over $60, which is better than it was yesterday. Okay, Clint, here we go. Let's do a handout here. Before we start on Clint's part of the presentation, Clint's here today, and he's going to demonstrate the software, and we're going to talk about our working interest portfolio. But I want to just click through our executive summary real quick. This is something that we put out this year, which is kind of the first. We have a brief overview of our strategy, which is basically buying in under the majors in proven resource plays. We're primarily in the Anadarko Basin for all the reasons that we've talked about for the last couple of years. These are multi-unit horizontals. No doubt we're going to make wells, and the wells that they're making are substantial. They're big wells with long reserve lives. This is a brief outline, and this is the first time we've done this, is we've actually put on paper in a brief summary what our deal is. We are a general partnership.
That allows us to take the losses that we generate from the IDC, from the drilling and completion of the wells, against ordinary income. That's one of the big drivers, especially this time of year. Last year, I think we achieved, Clayton, it was an 85% write-off at year end. And then once the tax benefits are realized, we are going to make a conversion to an LLC to reduce the liability of owning those assets going forward. Our first close is 12/31. The offering straddles this year 25 and 26, thus the name 25-26 Fund. So people investing this year will get all of the IDC. We already have 2 wells that are, one has been drilled, right, Clint?
Yes.
And we got a spud notice on the other one that was spud on the 6th. On the 6th
yeah.
of this month. Anyway, so two of the wells that are in our portfolio are already either being drilled or for completion right now. Okay, I think most of this, we're looking at an exit strategy at 4 to 6 year hold period, and we divest the assets. We've already talked about the write-off, estimated returns on a internal rate of return basis, 20 to 30% annually. 2+, that's money on invested capital, multiple on invested capital, MOIC, that term right there, 2 to 3 times over the 4 to 6 year period of our whole period. We provide reporting monthly, we provide annual K1s, we do the tax returns. Total cost of putting it together is 5% for an origination fee. We're one of the only people that I know of in the oil drilling programs that offers a preferential return, not only 100% cash back, but plus 10% preferential return. That's a one-time, that's not annualized, on the investment before management kicks in for 20% back. So any question on the offering terms? I don't know of anybody that does it cheaper. And this year, last 2 years, of course, we are gaining a lot of substantial diversification, buying the leases under existing operators in these proven resource plays. Again, this is just a recap of our projected economics. We believe the payout on the investment on a cash basis is 18 to 24 months. That's dependent. Of course, if we had oil over $100 a barrel, it'd probably be 12 months. But and again, the projected multiple on invested capital 2 to 3 times over 4 to 6 years. So we've got our bios in there, and then we've got a disclaimer. But that's the brief on our investment summary. Okay, Clint, let's pull over. Let's switch out our computers here.
All right, so this is the handout that's on the back of the back of the handout. It's our current interest portfolio, and you'll notice that we have a lot more participation so far this year than last at this point.
We got an earlier start this year.
Absolutely. And with us being on year 2, we've developed some relationships with some brokers and been able to identify and take down some larger pieces of some of these wells, before November. And so what I'm going to do is kind of go through our program here that we use every day. It used to be called Drilling Info. Now it's called Inverus, and they were recently bought out by BlackRock, I believe. And so now it's kind of an iffy deal because we're in direct competition with one of our data company. But this is a map, obviously lower 48. They map every well that's ever been drilled in the United States. And it's both vertical and horizontal. Because we're dealing with a horizontal world right now, you can filter some of these things out.
Now we are live and online. Is that correct?
Yes, this is a current view.
Okay. This program is really fascinating, and it's a relatively expensive program to subscribe to. But it's indispensable in what we're doing now.
And so this is a view of every horizontal well that's ever been drilled. And these are current active rigs on site, on location currently. So if we toggle this off, we can see where drilling activity is in Oklahoma.
Can we toggle back for a moment to our working interest portfolio?
Yeah.
Okay. Going back here, you can see many of our participations are with Mewbourne. And I wish I had gotten a slide, or we could probably pull it up. But Mewbourne is a major operator in the United States. They're very active. They are the most active operator in the Anadarko Basin. I believe they have, 6 rigs running now.
Yes, 6 rigs currently, and that number goes up and down depending on what project they're currently working on by 2 or 3. Sometimes they're running 7 or 8 rigs. Right now, I think they're at 6. 5 in Oklahoma, 1 in the Texas Panhandle, all in the Anadarko Basin.
But they are a substantial operator. I think if you look at their website, we have put links to their website on our communications partners, but they are, I think their current production is over 600,000 barrels a day. So they're not going anywhere. And these guys are really sharp. They're considered to be good operators, and they're good to their working interest partners. We've experienced that ourselves. We now have a working interest partnership relationship with them in multiple wells. They're responsive, and they're easy to work with.
Correct.
So we feel comfortable.
Yeah. And they're like I said, they're pretty responsive. They are easy to deal with. We're getting agreements in place where we don't have to prepay our drilling completion costs until completion operations are started, and they'll give us a notice, and we can pay our completion costs after the fact. Again, this is current rigs on site, and we'll pull up the wells here. And this is kind of how we go about looking at offset production and evaluating through that. We'll scroll in here because I know the Red Fork has been a fun, new, old vertical play that's been re-explored in horizontal fashion. This right here is currently a real hot spot for the Red Fork. And folks on our 24-25 program, this is our 2-for-1. The Anthem wells that are directly offset to some prolific Mewbourne wells. And we'll just pull up this Barrick right here. And if you've been reading any of the programs, this is one that we highlight often.
And so this is public information that has been submitted to the Corporation Commission on these wells, and we see what these wells have actually explained to them how to read that part.
Sure. So this program scrapes public data from the Corporation Commission, Tax Commission, and it aggregates it into these nice viewable models. And so this is production over time. Each month is a dot, green oil, red gas. And this, again, is a function of their program. So we take it with a grain of salt. But they've estimated the EUR, estimated ultimate recovery of over 1 million barrels. This is, what we always kind of like to highlight. A direct offset to our 2-for-1 deal with the Anthem Gardner wells. And
You folks may remember we were actually on location. On our last report, we put a picture out of them drilling the wells. They most recently completed a 101 stage zipper frac, which we tried to make it out there. We found out about it, and as it turned out, we didn't make it. But I would have loved to have gotten some aerial photography. That's the biggest frac job of any well or wells that we've been involved in, and it'd probably be something to see.
And speak to the technology of it, they fracked both wells in a week. So, again, our timeline was a small window that we were trying to make it out there, and it turns out that by the time we had gotten our first report, they were 2 or 3 days in, and then 4 days out from being completed. So we weren't able to get out there and view that one, but they're currently drilling out the plugs for those, and they should be brought online in the next few weeks. We should start getting some production numbers out of that. And so
So to finish the EURs though, there's also 11 BCF of gas.
Right.
So not strictly an oil play, but 1 million barrels and 11 BCF of gas, even with prices where they are now, you make money.
And the nice thing is with the gas out here is that it's sold on the BTU content, and it's a high content out here, so we're getting a little bit more than the $3 minimum.
Typically, gas that is associated with oil production is rich because it's associated with oil. The gas, we've been in some deep gas wells with Marathon and our merged partners. Those were expensive wells. They were deep, but they're primarily dry gas, which you're getting close to what is posted. On gas that's associated with oil, it's 30% richer. There's liquids involved, condensate, you get significantly higher pricing for rich gas.
Correct. But another one of the ways that we are able to kind of watch programs in here, this program also pulls in applications and orders with the Corporation Commission as they're filed by the operators. So a lot of what we do is chase very near-term drill options. And when we do that, we're able to come down here and look at the applications and orders that are filed. And I've currently got this set to everything that's happened since the 1st of this month. So within the last 28 days. These are all orders that have come out with the commission, and it highlights it purple up here. So, you know, if we were to take it back, historically the entire map would be purple because all of western Oklahoma has had some sort of application with it at some point. But in the last month, this is the orders that have come out. And with the Red Fork area being down here at the bottom, this highlighted purple in the center is actually our newest participation, which is the Sawatsky well that is going to be drilled by Mewbourne. It just had its pooling order come out on the 21st, so last week. We've elected to participate, and actually it overlaps. We split this interest between 24-25 and 25-26, so both programs have a piece of this well. And we're able to track the activity through this application and orders portion of the
But this is
program.
powerful information in that we're able to see what's going to get drilled near term, and that dictates what we can take a position in, because time is money, and when we put our money out there, we want to get a return on that production, get them drilled as soon as possible. So again, you can see why this software program is invaluable for what we're doing in our program.
And as our last bulletin went out, we stuck in there that we had a spud notice, the 30-day spud notice window for a Sandridge well that we got in that's targeting the Red Fork. And it said that between now and November 30th, they're going to spud this well. So we're like, okay, great. We're gonna get daily drills in the next month. But as I'm kind of reviewing some of the program, again, there's all of the data the commission is in this program, and as I'm looking, it turns out that the well was spud on the 6th, as you alluded to earlier, and so the well's probably TD'd or total
They probably
depth
TD'd it by now. Yeah.
by now, and they're most likely going to start completing the well
So
in the
under
next
our
month.
leasehold and our what is our PPLA?
Yes.
that we haven't even had to pay for this yet, and the well's already been drilled. So, but when it comes time to pay, we have to pay or we'll lose our participation. So one of the things we're encouraging our partners to do is to, if you made a decision that you're going to invest, we need you to invest sooner than later. The program just opened, but subscriptions are available now because there's only so much money we can internally front ourselves, which is what we're doing to take down all these positions. But when we get into drilling and completion, those dollars need to be forthcoming. We had an opportunity offered to us last week, which we probably don't have a chance at now, but explain that to them, how having capital available to deploy immediately could have put us in a very advantageous position.
Yeah. So with another one of these wells, the companies get out in front of their corporation commission filings and drill some of these wells before the poolings are completed, before the administrative part is finalized. And this well, the 4J Farms, is a well that we have a piece in currently. We haven't paid anything for it because the pooling just was finalized last week. But in that pooling process, there are mineral owners who hold out. They want more money. They want a higher royalty. They want to see what else they can get. And this well had around 70 acres of a mineral owner, open, not leased, waiting to try and get some more money. And we had a broker approach us and say, this landowner has reached out to us. They want a couple $100 and a 77, 78%, which is better
are
than
attractive terms for us.
Right,
Very
which is
attractive.
better than what they were going to get in the pooling. And at that cost, it would have been a good grab for us because the acreage is cheap, the royalty's better, the NRI is better than the 75%, but it's 70 acres, and that would have been around $500,000 participation cost that we would have had to have come up with
This week.
this week or next.
And obviously we had to pass on it. The piece that we have is in our 24-25 program,
Right.
which we have capital there. But here at the last minute, that was offered to us, and I told Clint, I said, man, I wish we could do that. Scratching our heads if we could have taken even a piece of it. But,
Right.
Anyway, that's the kind of opportunities that pop up in the environment that we're in now.
And we had another opportunity. Mewborn has just filed a few more Red Fork applications offsetting the Barrick here that we also had to pass on just based on capital available to us right now. But there are a lot of opportunities out there, and we're getting an earlier start this year than last, so we're able to identify these earlier and hopefully get into them sooner.
Yeah. Any questions on what we're talking about on our software program, on the wells that we're in? Any questions on the working interest portfolio we have established to date? Any questions on the related 24-25 program? We're getting ready for our next cash distribution on it this month. We're just waiting on revenue. Yes, Ken.
What is excuse me? What is your capital requirement now to sustain this deal?
You mean on the existing? It's on there, $1 million.
$1 million?
Yeah, we got a $1 million capex on what we have in place right now,
Okay.
and we have fronted the leasehold cost on it, which is what, a couple $100,000.
Is that 951 figure?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And the nice thing about this, again, is that the Sawatsky will be drilled, the Robinson Trust is already drilled, and the Boggs is going to be drilled in Q1. So we've got 3 guaranteed wells that are going to come online in the coming months.
Okay. Any other questions on anything we've talked about today? We're going to be, yes.
I didn't participate in the first one, but how many payments have you made and what percentage has come back?
We made our first payment last month, which I believe was a little over around 5%. And this payment will be probably similar to that. It represents the revenues, though. The first one was only one well that had been on. So we have a 6-month lag between the time that the well is completed and we get paid. That's kind of by law. That's the way the game works. So all of these that were drilled last year will now be, or have been drilled this and completed this year. We have additional wells that will be, and when we get paid on 6 months of production. So we've only been paid on one well. but we've got 2 more wells we're being paid on, one this month, one next month, another one in February. So all those combined, it's probably going to represent, and this is just an estimate on my part, I haven't put a pencil to it, but I'm going to say probably 30% in that neighborhood. So, but it's the longer term income that is really what we're shooting for. You know, we pay this income monthly, and as these wells come on, and there's wells in our program that have not even come on yet, that are funded, that will come on. So there will be additional production coming online as we go forward, and hopefully, as we've discussed, in a better pricing environment. Okay. All right. Questions on anything else? On any subject? This is rare. It's 1 o'clock. And I'm, Richard, you just broke it. We were going to get out on time, but no. Okay.
How about the sale of some of our old wells? Give us a report of that.
Are you talking about the Tech Cap?
Any of our old wells, you look at the cap?
Well, we are in the process, and I think we've discussed this, that we've liquidated or will have sold or liquidated everything in the old roll-up fund before this year end, and we're doing a final return. Didn't get great prices because a lot of these are marginal wells. Some of these we had to give back because part of what we're doing here is mitigating or eliminating plugging liability as we go forward. So, and we've had a lot of partners, you know, the Tech Cap, the roll-up fund, the distributions have gone down, production's marginal. So we've had a lot of partners say, you know, the revenue that I'm getting is barely covering what I'm having to pay additional to have my tax return done. So, but that's where we are. Okay. All right, I want to thank everybody for being here today. It's been great for our fall luncheon meeting. And have they brought dessert yet?
We're passing it out.
All right. Well, thank you again. And hey, guys, stick around. The Van Horns are here. I'm here. Clint's here. If you have individual questions, would like further explanation, we'll be here as long as you take. Appreciate everybody being here today. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job, guys.
Thank you, Nancy.